standard job interview lasts exactly 40 minutes.
Right.
But if you were to measure the brain waves of the person sitting in that hot seat,
Right.
well, their perception of time is usually warped so violently
Yeah.
that those 40 minutes actually feel like 3 hours.
Oh, absolutely. Every second ticks by slowly.
Yeah. Every pause feels really heavy. Welcome to today's deep dive. We are exploring a fascinating step-by-step English learning guide all about surviving that exact high-stress scenario, the job interview.
It is a high-pressure environment that universally changes how our minds and bodies operate, you know? Today, we are following the real experience of a candidate named Sarah. She is applying for a position as a marketing assistant.
And I should mention, because our discussion today is tailored specifically for you, whether you are an English learner looking to improve your comprehension or just someone preparing for a big meeting, we are going to speak at a more deliberate pace.
Yeah, we will focus on simple, clear explanations of some pretty complex feelings.
Exactly. Our mission today is really twofold. First, we are going to unpack the emotional, the physical, and the practical steps of sitting in that interview chair.
And second, we're going to explore the specific, descriptive English vocabulary that captures this intense human experience.
Because understanding these words and the psychology behind them, it's going to make you feel much more confident the next time you face a challenge.
To really understand the interview, we actually have to start long before the first question is ever asked. I mean, we begin at 6:30 in the morning.
Right. The alarm clock rings.
And the very first challenge Sarah faces is not about marketing or her resume. It is entirely physical.
She wakes up, and immediately her heart is thumping against her chest. She's feeling this strange, heavy mix of excitement and deep nerves.
Her body is basically shouting that today is a high-stakes day.
So she has to take control of that physical reaction right away. She gets out of bed quickly and steps into a warm shower. She's using the water to wake up her mind and, wash away that initial sleepiness.
And once she is out of the shower, she moves to the next crucial step of physical preparation, which is her wardrobe.
Yes, the clothes.
She chooses a classic outfit, specifically a crisp white blouse and smart black pants. And as she looks in the mirror, she gives herself a small instruction, like a mantra. She whispers, "You look ready."
Let's talk about the specific words used to describe her clothes there, because they carry a lot of psychological weight. The word crisp. When I hear the word crisp, I usually think of an apple or maybe dry autumn leaves. But here, applied to a shirt, crisp means clean, fresh, and slightly stiff.
Right. It is a shirt that has just been ironed perfectly. It has structure to it.
And that structure is deeply important. Then we have the word smart. In the context of clothing, smart does not mean highly intelligent.
No, not at all.
It means neat, stylish, and highly suitable for a professional environment. By putting on these crisp, smart clothes, Sarah's doing something really interesting.
She's sending a physical signal to her own brain. The stiffness of the collar and the neatness of the pants, they physically remind her to stand up straight and act professionally.
She is basically putting on armor for the battle ahead. But armor is heavy, right? You need energy to carry it. So after dressing, she moves to the kitchen.
To make breakfast.
Right. She makes what is described as a hearty breakfast. That is a wonderful word, hearty. If you listen closely, you can actually hear the word heart right in the middle of it.
Exactly. A hearty meal is not just a tiny plate of food. It is food that provides core strength.
Yes, it is nourishing.
It fills you up and gives you lasting, sustained energy.
So Sarah cooks scrambled eggs, 2 pieces of whole wheat toast, and pours a large glass of cold orange juice. Now, some people might think, oh, I am too nervous to eat. I will just have a small cracker.
Which is a huge mistake.
It really is. Yeah. Think of stress as a heavy background application running on your smartphone. Just processing the anxiety of an upcoming interview drains your battery incredibly fast.
It's premium fuel that you need.
Right. If you only give your body a tiny cracker, your battery will hit 1% by 10 o'clock in the morning. You will simply shut down.
And when your physical battery drains like that, your body enters a state we call jittery. This is the exact feeling Sarah is trying to avoid.
Jittery. That's a very descriptive word.
It means having sweaty palms, a shaky voice, and a jumpy feeling in your muscles. You get jittery when your nervous system is overloaded with anxiety, or, perhaps when you drink way too much black coffee on an empty stomach.
Your hands actually tremble.
Right, and to fight off that jittery feeling, Sarah uses another physical tool. She stops her morning routine, stands still, and takes a very slow, deep breath in through her nose, and lets it out slowly through her mouth.
It forces the heart rate to slow down.
Exactly. If we look at the bigger picture here, you cannot perform well mentally if your biological system is in a state of panic.
No, you really can't.
Managing jittery nerves requires physical grounding. The warm water of the shower, the structure of a crisp clothes, the protein of the hearty breakfast, and the oxygen from those deep breaths.
You have to convince the physical body that it is safe, well, before the brain can even begin to focus on translating and speaking the English language.
Yeah. So her morning routine has successfully lowered her physical heart rate. She is physically grounded.
But a calm nervous system is very fragile.
Very fragile.
The moment she steps out of her front door, the safety of her apartment is gone. The chaos of a morning commute and the reality of the business world threaten to undo all that calming work.
She needs a different kind of safety net.
That is why her next step is entirely about creating psychological security. Before she walks out the door, she uses a triple check method. She opens her bag and checks it 3 separate times.
She is ensuring that her professional materials are perfectly organized.
She verifies that she has a folder containing 3 clean copies of her resume, a blank notebook, and her favorite blue pen. Now, before we look at the items themselves, let's look at the vocabulary, the word resume.
Yeah, it is worth noting an important regional difference in English here. In the United States, professionals use the word resume.
Right.
But in the United Kingdom, Australia, and many other parts of the world, people use the term CV, which stands for the Latin phrase curriculum vitae.
But despite the different names, they mean the exact same thing, right?
Yes, exactly. It is a formal document that lists your entire work history, your educational background, and your special skills.
And along with the resume, she makes sure she has a list of references.
Oh, those are crucial.
These are the contact details, phone numbers, and email addresses of people who know her well in a professional setting. This could be a former manager, a supervisor, or maybe a university professor.
And why do we need them? Because these people can vouch for you.
To vouch, that is a powerful concept.
It really is. When a former boss vouches for you, they are offering their own good reputation to guarantee your character. They are promising the new company that you are reliable, hardworking, and honest.
It proves to the new employer that they are making a safe, secure choice by hiring you.
Exactly.
Okay, I have to challenge the idea of this paper folder for a moment, though.
Go ahead.
Sarah is printing 3 clean paper copies of her resume. She's carrying a physical notebook and a blue pen. But we live in an extremely digital world right now.
That's true.
When you apply for a job, you fill out an online portal. The manager looks at your LinkedIn profile. They probably have your digital application open on their laptop while you speak. Isn't bringing physical paper copies and a pen a little bit, I don't know, outdated?
You might think so, but the strategy here goes far beyond just providing information to the manager.
Really?
Yeah, you are right. The interviewer likely has the digital file, but the physical file is actually a psychological tool for the applicant. Yes, handing a manager a crisp, clean piece of paper demonstrates extreme preparation. But more importantly, holding that folder gives Sarah's jittery hands something physical to anchor onto.
Ah, I see the connection now. When you are nervous, your hands shake, or you don't know where to put them. Holding a solid object, like a favorite blue pen, gives you a sense of physical control.
Precisely. It is a prop. And when she walks into the room and immediately offers a printed resume, it instantly builds trust before a single word of English is spoken. It visually signals, I am organized and I am ready.
So her bag is checked 3 times. She finally begins her commute. She gets on the city bus. And instead of looking down at her phone and letting her mind worry about the interview questions, she practices active distraction.
A great strategy.
She looks out the bus window at the beautiful morning city. She watches the people and the buildings to keep her mind away from fear.
Eventually, she arrives at her destination. It is a tall, imposing glass building. It would be very easy to feel small and intimidated here. But as she walks through the front doors, she experiences a crucial moment of human connection.
The receptionist. Sarah approaches the front desk, and the receptionist greets her with a very warm smile. The receptionist leans in and says, "Don't worry, the team here is very friendly."
That small kindness is enormous. It helps her relax her shoulders.
It really reminds us that every single person you meet at a company, from the security guard to the front desk receptionist to the hiring manager, is part of the interview ecosystem. Their demeanor affects your nerves.
Yes, it sets the tone. And with a little bit of trust established and her nerves managed by her preparation, she is invited into the actual office. The door closes. It is time for the hot seat.
The hot seat.
The manager is professional but kind. And now we get to analyze the core of the deep dive, how Sarah answers the questions, and how time itself seems to behave strangely under extreme pressure.
The manager starts with the most common, classic question in the professional world. Tell me about yourself.
It sounds like an easy question, but it is a trap.
It really is.
Yeah.
Many people start talking about their childhood or their pets or their weekend hobbies. But Sarah handles it perfectly.
She does.
She answers by talking strictly about her past work experience, her passion for the marketing industry, and her specific computer skills.
She filters her answer. She focuses entirely on what makes her valuable to this specific business.
Next, the manager asks, "Why do you want to work for this company?" And Sarah does not say, "Because I need a job."
Obviously not.
She answers by praising the company's recent innovations and their creative product lines. She proves that she has done her homework. She understands their business model.
But beyond the questions themselves, the experience of sitting in that chair is described in our source using an incredibly evocative word, eternity.
Eternity.
The word eternity literally means forever. It is time without any end. As we mentioned at the start of our discussion, the interview was only 40 minutes long.
Right.
But when you are sitting in a chair, actively being watched, evaluated, and judged by a stranger, your brain switches into a high-alert survival mode.
This goes back to our hook at the beginning. Why does a standard interview feel like 3 hours? I like to compare this feeling of eternity to watching a slow-motion scene in an action movie.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
You know, when the hero is running from an explosion and the camera slows down, 1 second of real-time action takes 10 seconds for the audience to watch.
Yeah.
When we feel intense pressure, our brain speeds up its processing power to handle the perceived threat. Because our brain is working so fast, the outside world feels like it is moving in slow motion.
And because time feels so severely distorted, it is very easy for an applicant to panic. You feel like the silence is stretching on forever, so you rush your words to fill the quiet space.
Which is dangerous.
Especially when you are speaking a second language, like English, you stumble over your vocabulary because you are trying to outrun the slow-motion clock.
That brings us to one of the most practical strategies from Sarah's experience. It is a specific survival phrase she uses when she feels overwhelmed.
Oh, this is so important.
She looks at the manager and says calmly, "Could you please repeat that question? I want to make sure I understand."
Many language learners fear that asking someone to repeat a question makes them look foolish or, highlights that their English is not perfect.
Right, they feel embarrassed.
But in a professional setting, the exact opposite is true. Why is this phrase so powerful? Because it demonstrates that clarity is your highest priority.
It shows you are a careful, thoughtful professional who wants to provide accurate information rather than someone who just guesses and rushes.
Exactly.
And practically speaking, it breaks the illusion of eternity. It pauses the slow-motion movie. While the manager repeated the question, you just bought yourself 10 extra seconds to breathe and organize your thoughts.
You reclaim control of the pacing.
Yes.
Now, when you finally do speak, you want the words to sound natural. Our guide today highlights a specific language practice technique that Sarah used in the weeks before the interview. It is a method called shadowing.
Shadowing. Just like a dark shadow follows a person on the sidewalk, in language learning, shadowing means you listen to a native English speaker and you repeat what they say immediately after them.
Right. You copy their exact rhythm, their pauses, and the rise and fall of their voice.
You are not just memorizing vocabulary on a piece of paper. You are training the physical muscles in your jaw, your tongue, and your throat to comfortably produce the unique sounds of the English language.
It is muscle memory.
Think about how a musician learns to play a complicated song on the piano. At first, they have to look at every single key.
Yeah.
But after practicing the movements hundreds of times, their fingers just know where to go without the brain having to consciously direct them.
When we connect shadowing to the pressure of the interview room, the benefit becomes obvious. When your brain is distracted by nerves and the clock feels like an eternity, you do not have the mental energy to constantly translate thoughts from your native language into English.
It's too much work.
But if you have practiced shadowing, your mouth physically remembers how to form the professional phrases. The words are loaded into your muscle memory, ready to flow naturally.
The preparation does the heavy lifting for you. And because of this preparation, Sarah survives the eternity. She answers the questions clearly, her voice is steady, and eventually the manager closes his notebook.
The 40 minutes are up.
We enter the aftermath.
Sarah stands up. shakes the manager's hand firmly, looks him in the eye, and delivers one final, excellent professional phrase. She says, "Thank you so much for your time."
Perfect.
She turns, walks out of the office, takes the elevator down, and steps outside the glass building into the fresh morning air.
And the moment that fresh air hits her face, she is washed over by one final, powerful emotion. A wave of relief.
Release is a profound emotional state. It is described as that wonderful, sudden feeling when a difficult, scary, or painful situation finally comes to an end. It is the immediate absence of anxiety.
We often use a great visual idiom in English to describe relief. A weight lifted off your shoulders.
Yes, I love that phrase.
Imagine you have been carrying a heavy backpack full of rocks all morning. When you finally take it off, your posture changes. You stand taller. The burden of worry is gone. Sarah can finally breathe normally again.
Her heart stops its rapid thumping. She is no longer jittery. She survived the trial.
Sarah's experience provides a very encouraging blueprint for you, the listener. Learning to navigate a professional environment in English is a journey. It is not a race, and you do not have to be flawless.
Not at all. Every new descriptive word you internalize, words like crisp, hearty, jittery, vouch, eternity, and relief, makes you a far more expressive and precise communicator for tomorrow.
The ultimate takeaway is clear. Do not be afraid of the interview process. Be prepared for it. Control the variables that you can control.
Iron your crisp clothes the night before. Eat a hearty breakfast to give your battery premium power.
Print your paper resume to anchor your hands. And practice your shadowing so your muscles remember the words when your brain is stressed. If you build that physical and psychological safety net, you will manage the stress effectively.
Because knowledge is only powerful when it is applied. By understanding the biological reactions of your body and mastering the English vocabulary needed to navigate them, you give yourself the greatest possible advantage in any professional room.
So we have talked a lot today about the intense feelings of a job interview. We followed Sarah from the moment her alarm went off to the moment she felt that wave of relief. But as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over on your own.
Okay.
Today, we learned English vocabulary to describe intense emotions, like being jittery or facing an eternity. But think about this from a psychological perspective. Does learning to describe these intense emotions in a completely new language actually change the way you experience them?
Oh, that is a deeply provocative question.
Right. If you undergo a high-pressure situation like a job interview in a second language, might the intense mental effort of translating your thoughts actually serve as a hidden advantage?
I mean, it could.
Could the sheer hard work of speaking English be the very thing that keeps your brain too busy to panic? Perhaps learning the language is not just a tool for communication. Perhaps it acts as a mental shield against the fear itself, giving your brain a complex puzzle to solve instead of letting it focus on anxiety.
That's fascinating.
Something to think about the next time you feel your heart thumping before a big moment.